I guess I wanted to do a deck tech on, or deck guide, I suppose. You can tell I played Magic on ST Weather Control. This is my first attempt doing one of these deck techs guides, whatever you want to call it, so bear with me. Basically, the goal of this deck is to win rounds 1 and 3 and pass on round 2. The reason you want to do that is because weather obviously is better in longer rounds, so trying to spread your weather out across 2 rounds is just not feasible. Probably be some complaints about the fact that this is a weather deck, Ragnarok and all that, but it's in the game, so might as well play with it if it's good, or don't play with it, and maybe this will just help you for your matches against it. It's not the most popular deck on ladder, but I've definitely seen a couple other people playing it. So the main finishers in the deck are this elf, who gets buffed by 1 every time you play a special card. You obviously are playing almost entirely special cards, so he gets buffed by almost every card you play. I mean, in addition, some special cards, including Arrow. Alright, apparently my control key does awful things to the game, and I'm using it for my push to talk button, so let me change that real quick. Alright, let's turn it off for now. Alright, there we go. So, the goal, I'll just walk through all the cards real quick. Let me just start with the golds. The first gold is Scoia'tael. She is just 7 free points, deck thinning. She's played in almost every ST Scoia'tael deck. Next is this lady. I can't say her name. Ethylene, I guess. She plays a bronze card from your deck and then makes a copy of it. So she basically doubles a bronze card. This is obviously amazing in a deck that's playing tons of one-ofs and there's tons of special cards in general. And she also gets a double tick on all your elves, which is your win condition. So she is great. She combos amazingly with cards like Epidemic. If they have a bunch of people stacked on 2 different health totals, you kill all of them. Also good on Tremors against a lot of monsters decks, or Thunder if there's 2 different really strong targets, or just 1 strong target you need to burst down quick to clear up a better weather row. Next gold is Ragnarok. This one's pretty self-explanatory. You almost always get at least 6 points of damage, 9 points of damage, and when you're playing as much weather as this deck is playing, you can usually bleed them out of all weather removal before playing it, which at that point it becomes a little silly. Some people play Drought in this slot. I think either one is fine. They play Drought to get better Scorches. I like Ragnarok for the better overall damage. I mean, it just does more points of damage on average than Drought would. And I tend to play a little later in the rounds than maybe some other people are trying to use it. So at that point, I'm less concerned with trying to get better Epidemic or Scorch value, because I probably don't have them anymore. Last gold is, I just call him Villain. I don't really know how you're supposed to say that name. He is probably the hardest card to use in this deck. The best way to think about it is you want to play him in round 3, and you want to use him to clear the way for your elves. So, if you have, just think about the hand. If you have to play out 3 elves, you want to have 2 additional cards plus him. So you want to play him, play 2 more cards, Scorch and Shackles or something, and then you want to play your protectors directly after Villain goes off. He can be used in round 1. He's definitely not as good in round 1, but sometimes if it's a dwarf deck going all in on a huge dwarf, I'll drop him. But generally not, because they have the option of just ending the round in round 1, and he's a lot better and more predictable when you get the chance to get the value out of knowing that they're forced to sit through the activation. All right, moving on to the silver cards. Roach, self-explanatory, 5 points of stats. Good deck thinning. There's probably some argument for not playing him, but you really do need a couple of points of stats in round 1 just to get on the board, because you don't want to play your elves round 1. Yavin is it's card draw, card selection. He's also good in a weather deck because you can drop him in the rows where you're going to do damage to him. You can drop him in the empty row if you're going to Ragnarok. You can drop him next to someone else if you're going to use Scoia'tael Storm. It's just a strong card since you're just going to do so much damage to it yourself just incidentally as part of your normal game plan. Next is Nature's Gift. Nature's Gift selects any special card from your deck other than golds, of course. So one of the best combos you can do with this is if you already have Storm or something in the graveyard, you can Nature's Gift for Aeromancy for Storm. And that gets... And not only does it allow you to really dig and get another Storm on the board, it's sort of out of nowhere. It also gives +9 stats, +3 for each, which, that's great for your last round. You really want to get them up to at least 20 on the final round. Alright, what is next? Scorch, pretty self-explanatory. It combos really well with the fact that we're playing Rain, which does damage to the lowest units, so you leave the top units at their maximum HP for maximum Scorch value. Storm, great against Queen's Guard, great against any row stacking, because people will try to row stack to avoid taking a ton of weather damage, but obviously Storm does 6 damage when you drop it by itself. Almost always get incredible value out of this card. I think this card is actually better than Ragnarok. It is probably the best weather card in the game. Be warned that they can play gold cards in the row to block a bunch of the damage if they know what they're doing. They can place it at the end of the row and stack the units beside it, and it'll do 2 and 1 instead of 3, 2, 1. Moving on to bronze cards. As I said, these are your win conditions. You do not want to play them until the very end. You want to either, basically you pull them with Rally. Rally pulls a random bronze unit. Well, as you might have noticed, these are the only bronze units. So you're going to pull them every single time. So you want to have, in the last round, either 3 First Lights to pull the 3 protectors out of your deck, or 2 First Lights and 1 protector, or 2 protectors and 1 First Light, any combination of the 3. Or, this is a little more technical, if you can have 1 protector, and you can have Athena plus a First Light left in your deck, and you can use her to double First Light, double Rally on the very last turn. It's probably actually the best way to use it if you manage to hold on to her for maximum value at the end of the game. Because it's nearly impossible. You're almost always going to be going into the last round with turn advantage. Since you won round 1, forfeited round 2, you almost always come in with generally not card advantage, but usually turn advantage. And you can use her to grab 2 of these guys that are essentially unkillable because you were last to act, and they have no way to answer that. All right, other bronze cards. Tremors. Sort of a tech card. I'd say you always want to run it though. It's great for against some of the usually monsters decks, and even if you're not playing against monsters, I'll play it if there's 3 units and do 6 points of damage. If you can get at least 6 points of damage out of this, it's usually fine. You don't need to try to get maximum value out of all these cards. Thunder, same kind of thing. Although this one's a little better for setting up if they're in rain, or if you're going to rain the next turn, you can try to set it up so that you have multiple people at the lowest HP to get better value. It's definitely something you want to be looking for. The Clear Skies, or First Light, You'll occasionally use it for clear skies if you know you're gonna have if you're gonna have 3 ways to get your elves out of the deck for round 3, and you want to clear a Ragnarook. But generally, it's almost always just gonna be used for rally. Epidemic. Epidemic is used a lot for just 1-for-1s on empty boards. If they drop, I mean, it's just a bronze way to kill anything if it's an empty board. If they drop, a dwarf by himself, Epidemic him. If you can 1-for-1 with this card, it's almost always correct just to get the 1-for-1. Rain. Rain is generally the way you're going to bait out weather removal effects. You want to try to force them to use it on the rain rather than the storms and the R&R. It can be, I mean, it does solid damage. It's a good bronze card. If you don't, it can be, you can open up a round with it if you have to. Usually the first round you can open with it. He is the best round 1, play 1 opener. But if you don't have them, you can just rain on. If you understand what row their deck has to play on, you just rain on their best row, and either force him to play suboptimally on different rows, or force him to go ahead and clear it, which is a 1-for-1 trade. Shackles. Shackles is my newest addition to the deck. Been running into a lot of Nilfgaard, so they have they have a gold that draws your opponent a card, and he's a 25 HP creature. This is amazing against him. If they use it early enough in the round, you can shackle and then scorch, and it's a 2-for-2 value because he drew you a card, and you answered it with 2 cards, shackles plus scorch. You can also just use shackles against, any sort of, it's good in a lot of different situations. I'll use it a lot against just like golds. I'll use a bunch against Siri and all sorts of other cards if they're trying to get a card advantage off the round. You can shackle them inside of weather, and it can really ruin their game plan. Shackle is a great card. You can also double shackle if you need to. And if you don't want it, you can just mulligan it repeatedly, and you'll probably never have to play it. So, it's a very safe one of. You can pull it with Nature's Gift. You can. It's in the graveyard, need it again. You just use your power to resurrect a special card. Although generally speaking, you're going to want to use it on Storm, or even better, Storm and Aeromancer in the graveyard. You want to Aeromancer the Storm again for the additional special card value. So, general mulligan game plan. You want first mulligans are always Saska and Roach. You want to pull these round 1 off of your hero power, or whatever your leader power, your leader card. Because when you play her, orders summon this unit to a row. So you click her, pulls her, and since you played a gold, it automatically pulls Roach. So that is 5, 12, 17 points of damage, or 17 points of strength. 12 of which is gold, and you can usually use that to sort of shut the door on round 1, or if they passed, you can use that to go down a card, thin your deck, and get enough points to finish the round. Your other mulligans, if you've already mulliganed 2 and you haven't seen either of these, I would generally not mulligan the 3rd card. You have a pretty decent chance at that point to pull it if you've sent back first lights and whatnot, because obviously you've blacklisted a large portion of your deck. If you've mulliganed 2 and already mulliganed one of these, it's probably safe to go ahead and do a 3rd. It just depends on the quality of your hand. If your hand quality is not great, you probably need to do it to up your hand quality. If your hand quality is already got, you've already got Yavin in it, or if you've already got maybe an Aeromancy and a Scoia'tael Storm, then you probably don't need to do the more risky mulligan. It's going to be very specific, and you'll have to sort of fill it out for yourself. Your other potential 3rd mulligans are elves. If you have both these guys in hand and an elf, the safe way to mulligan is to mulligan an elf to blacklist the rest of them. You don't want them, and you can just mulligan those 2. That's probably the most optimal way. Or you can, if you don't generally need first lights first round, so you can blacklist your first lights, send back your Roach and your Saska if you have both of them, and it's a real safe way to mulligan. You're just essentially trying to dig for some mixture. I mean, you're really just hunting for silver and gold cards. The rest of your cards you're going to have some mixture of them in your hand. They're flexible enough that they'll be good. But you're just trying to mulligan and get as many of your good silver and golds as you can. And that, you play out round one like that. You're gonna usually play Rain on first row or play Yavin on first turn, and play it out pretty naturally. You're trying to win the round plus bait out weather removal. I almost never play Ragnarok in the first round, but you can if you need to. Round 2, you're open passing every single time. Round 3, you're looking to have Villain, like I said, and trying to set it up so that he kills the board, and then you drop all your elves directly afterwards. That is the general game plan. Also, make sure you dump Scorch before you play. Some common mistakes are holding Scorch until after you play your elves, at which point Scorch is a dead card. So make sure you dump it. Sometimes you're going to have to throw it into an empty board and it hits nothing. But you cannot have Scorch in your hand before you play your elves. Be very careful with epidemics. They can be used in lots of interesting situations, like clearing the cows from Nilfgaard whenever they drop them on like not as often as you think, but sometimes they'll drop spies and then try to epidemic them, or they'll try to cow down maybe their 10 health guy that draws them a card, so you can just epidemic and keep them alive. Although sometimes you just let them die because if they have the gold that steals them back, but you'll just have to sort of feel it out and play it for yourself. But all right, I hope you guys have enjoyed this short little guide. Let me know what you thought on the way I formatted my discussion. I just tried to follow sort of a logical path. It really is my first attempt at doing something like this. I do stream a good bit, but that's a more casual sort of environment. So good luck. Let me know what you think of the deck. And I will link where I originally found this deck list on Gwen TV, because this is not my original creation, but he didn't have a video, so I decided I'd make one and put it on YouTube. Thanks.